Well, interesting question. Um, I have said that there's nothing more than atoms, matter, space time, right? There's no need for a supernatural, spiritual force of any kind. Um, but I understand matter and energy and space and time in the way modern physics understands it, not in the way that Newton understands it, which is our common sense, and the way that many materialists, not sophisticated, philosophers who adopt materialism, who have more complicated arguments to back this up, but most people assume that the materialism of Newton's era is still scientifically valid. That atoms are these, billiard balls that bang into each other. They never change or evolve or develop. Atoms are just somehow given. Space and time are also given transcendentally imposed, fixed laws of nature. Whereas modern physics with relativity and quantum theory, we know space and time aren't fixed. They're part of the process of the expansion of the universe, and very near the Big Bang, their properties were entirely different, and we can only assume that their properties are also always still changing. Atoms evolved, they emerged, they're a process, just like an organism living on Earth is a process rather than a substance. Um, like I said in another video, the form of an organism is this continual flow of matter and energy through a self-organizing body. So it's not the atoms that make me up that are conscious, it's the form that they produce as they organize, as this open thermodynamic system is organized by the continual flow of atoms. Somehow that increases the complexity of my interior experience, my consciousness, my autonomy, and so forth. Um, so yeah, I'm a materialist. There's just matter, but I think quantum physics and relativity theory um, give us an entirely new conception of matter than what Newton's theory was. Modern physics tells us that matter is active. It's actually energy, which is a dynamic process. We can only account for energy in terms of a happening of some kind. We can't say what it is, what kind of stuff it is. It's just energy. It's a way of describing this flowing nature of reality. Um, and so instead of matter being this inert stuff that's, inherently entropic and never organizes or anything, we now understand that obviously matter organizes itself because here we are, right? And I am attributing feeling some very primordial, simple type of conceptual ability to atoms, because just like organisms are self-organizing, atoms are also self-organizing. Right after the Big Bang happened, there was only, electrons flying around, and there, some kind of energy, which then, as the universe began to cool, self-organized into hydrogen and helium, which then, to get the heavier elements, had to form into stars, self-organize into stars, and then through a supernova, heavier elements were created, and so forth. So the whole universe is this process of evolution, and matter is one of the organizational patterns which has emerged in this process. And it seems to me that if we're going to account for our human experience, our human consciousness, which is, coming out of and allowed to occur by this physical body, then we need to attribute in some form feeling to matter. So matter is not inert. Matter is active. Matter has the potential to become what we recognize as obviously alive. So if your scenario of a robot, quote unquote, composed and designed exactly like a living body, if that were feasible, then it would be indistinguishable from an organism. And so of course it would be alive. And calling it a robot would no longer make sense. Now, I question whether this is in any way plausible that human beings could construct a living organism atom by atom, we could conceivably, put together the genetic sequence in an already living cell, and then it could grow into a finished, what we would recognize as a finished organism. But we can't construct an organism ready-made. Just make an adult organism. No, organisms have to grow. That's what defines them as organisms. So in one sense, no, we could not create a robot identical. I mean, you could come up with a theory or a hypothetical situation all you want, but that kind of a thought experiment, as far as I'm concerned, is irrelevant because it's not possible in this universe or any universe we can conceive of. Real organisms have to evolve, or have to grow, and they also evolve, sure. So, what you've done in your question is just, it's like a confusion of words or something. If we have a body identical to my own, it isn't a robot, it's just like mine, it would be an organism. So I guess I say yes to your question, but with many of the qualifications that I've already given. So, yeah, let me know if you still disagree or what. But thanks for your question. Take it easy.